This boy is being sent on a mission to enter enemy lines, but the catch is the enemy are all girls. He's stuck in a world where men live in one nation, while the women live on the other half of the continent. Currently, the girls actually rule the world and are stronger, where they call themselves foxes, while the guys call themselves the wolves. Regardless, this boy's mission is to resupply one of the strongest special teams of the wolves, rumored to have a winning record against the foxes. It's then revealed that if the foxes catches any strong men, then they'll be punished with a rice cake smashing to extract seeds before being finished off. Out of 100, maybe only 2 get to experience the special treatment, but the rest just gets annihilated. Upon making it to the halfway point, the group encounter a town with no men on guard, so they begin to be on high alert, scared that the foxes might be nearby. The squadron then take a closer look, only to realize that most of the boys are already knocked unconscious. So the leader spurs into action as he motions 2 squads to search the area, while 1 squad looks for anyone still somehow conscious. Our boy then checks multiple people knocked out, where he discovers that everyone is still breathing, confirming the rumors that the foxes do not harm regular men or weak men. Nonetheless, his buddy got no brains, but at least he's super brave, so he starts running into rooms, yelling for the girls to come out. Eventually, they find a special member of a tot unit, so they attempt to help him to see if they can do anything. But as they check on the guy, light begins to pour out of a mysterious room after a body suddenly gets thrown out of the window. Simultaneously, the guy they were trying to help looks up, murmuring to them to get the heck out, as these boys have no chance against the enemy. He then smirks, revealing to them that they're still here, the legendary Crimson Foxes. We then learn that the boy's name is Herring, and unfortunately for him, his bonehead friend wants to see a girl for the first time. Being a virgin will do this to someone, so he rushes on, hoping to be strong enough to get captured, just so he can experience the rice cake smashing himself. Herring then tries to use logic to reason with him to no avail, as his friend never got to experience the stage-like clarity after exploding. With no other choice, Herring follows his friend, probably because he wants to experience the rice cake as well, not wanting to be deprived of the opportunity. Upon heading outside the building, they get shocked as they witness everyone, including the leader, is on the ground unconscious without them even getting to hear any commotion. Suddenly, a girl with insane speed comes out of nowhere, trying to ambush the two as we discover her to be a Crimson Fox. In literally 1 second, he gets clapped and knocked out, but at least he got to look at what a girl looks like. Unfortunately, the one girl he got to look at isn't even a pretty one, since she looks like somebody from the Twilight movies. While knocked out in the dream dimension, Herring begins to recall a moment he had with his father. He then recalls the memory with his father where he warns him that if he ever encounters the legendary Crimson Foxes, he must do one thing. The one thing, he must use a special move to turn his face into a sussy beka capable of lowering the attack of the foxes. Now remember the special move, he gains consciousness, but he finds himself confused, wondering why a bag is over his head. A girl then whispers to him, telling him that he's finally awake, so she also removes the bag from his head. He then looks up to see the girl, but he can only see the outlines of her as she orders him to cooperate or the girl's outside while punishing harshly. Upon closer look, she gets smitten by his attractiveness, so she takes a moment to take it all in. But our boy didn't forget his one special move, so he activates it without hesitation. Somehow, it seems to actually work as the girl's heart begins to pound just like my heart when I eat anything fatty. Herring then gets startled as he hears someone making weird sounds to his right, so he investigates. Upon taking a closer look, his world gets shattered as his bonehead friend is currently on a scenic bike ride with a crimson girl. He always hoped that the rice cake attacks were not just rumors, so right in front of his eyes, one of his dreams are proven true. His friend then looks lifeless as one of the Crimson Foxes attempts to extract every seed he can from the banana plantation. Afterwards, he looks away flustered, but like a true Sigma male, he stares straight at the girl in front of him. But she only stares back, busy thinking to herself what to do, as her partner in crime, on the other hand, is busy going ham, as if she's sucking the soul out of him. Eventually, she finally says something, so she mentions how they don't really have much time, thus, she must get on with it. She then reveals to him that she knows it's obviously both of their first time, but since she's stronger, she takes the lead and puts on the pants in the relationship. As if he's a banana, she rips off the banana peel and continues to urge him to stay calm the entire time, warning him that he might get hurt if he doesn't. Upon ripping off the banana peel, the girl thinks to herself that the rumors are true. The wolves actually don't wear any undies, exactly like what a true savage would do. She then wonders why the banana plantation isn't grown yet, since his friend had a fully grown plantation before they even got to do anything. So to make it fair, she does the same banana peeling to herself, just to help the plantation get started as they are running out of time. And just like that, as he gets to see a real rice cake and more, the banana plantation begins to react as if it's a spaceship ready to blast off into space. A flashback then occurred, back to the times of Herring's grandpa. There, he told the story of a boy who got captured by the Crimson Foxes within 1 month of joining the supply group, but they found him 2 days after, with his life sucked out, making him never the same. It then turns out that after they extract the seeds, they turn back into their childlike forms, stuck there forever. Back to the present, with the girl showcasing everything she has, Herring calls her twin dragons beautiful, even though he knows his life is basically over with his plantation turning into a rocket. She then gets shocked as if her eyes were deceiving her, totally not expecting a behemoth to appear. Meanwhile, off in the distance, a mysterious man shrouded in black appears with a sword, looking like he's a grown-up Kirito. He then looks on from afar, ready to complete his mission by himself, while Herring gets ready to start clapping. However, he notices a white flash not too far from him, and only one person in the world could be that fast, and that is Arya herself, the strongest female warrior. Now with his eyes on the prize, he gets ready to attack, as he only wants one thing out of this entire ordeal. Back at the town, another Crimson Fox begins to count up all their successful rice cake extractions, where she makes fun of the boys, claiming that they aren't the same anymore since they keep lasting shorter every time. Miss Alita Battle Angel then turns around asking to see if the two new guys are any better than the rest, but the blonde girl gives the unsurprising bad news that they are all still the same. Alita then wants to leave since she's bored, but the blonde says to give the two girls inside more time, since it'll be hard to track them down even if it's the elite Karim squad chasing them down. The girls then talk about Arya, where they reveal that she's the current reincarnation of the girl that took down the leader of all men centuries ago. Anyways, back to the action, Herring learns from the girl that her name is Danby, where she whispers to him to never forget her name. After telling her name, she proceeds to straddle the bike so she can finally start her mission of extraction. But apparently the banana tree could not fit inside the garden since it was too grown to handle. So she decides to water the tree real quick, since there's no way it's going in without any help. As such, she starts to water his banana plantation, quickly irrigating the tree's surroundings to make sure it's slippery wet. Apparently, this was such a rare and forbidden maneuver that Herring has never ever heard of the special honey tiak slurping. Meanwhile, his bonehead friend literally passes out after the girl is able to extract his soul, so she gets mad that he can't continue. So she abruptly stops and slaps him awake, where he starts to gasp for air. She then looks at him in disgust, asking if he's really already done, since this is the only time in their lives that both will ever get to experience the rice cake and hot dog combining. But he doesn't answer, as his pride is already depleted, so she begins yelling at him, unable to believe she waited 20 years just for everything to last just a few seconds. She then threatens him that she will punish him if his tree doesn't grow back ASAP, so she tells him that she'll give him one more chance if he can come back to his senses. But then she gets distracted as she notices Herring's tree getting irrigated with a mouth extension, calling Danby a sly little dog. But Danby doesn't care, as she just wants to complete the mission, so Herring just sits there, busy thinking about whether this is all worth it in exchange for his life. Since Herring's friend is fully fried and exhausted, Danby's superior comes over to watch, busy wanting a turn at the behemoth, but Danby shoos her off. However, she smiles and roots for her, telling her that he won't disturb her, so she decides to leave. Right before she gets to the exit, she reminds Danby that if she can't handle it, then she can take his place, as she can easily take over for her. Danby then turns to Herring, grabbing his face, telling him to focus super hard. How about just get on with it? But Danby continues on by telling Herring that this is the most important moment in her life, but she doesn't realize that it is also the same for Herring. She then finally goes for it, and so hearts begin to appear in the surrounding area as the rocket blasts off into her space. She's instantly mesmerized, as if something got awakened in her, so she musters up all her strength to keep attacking such a massive behemoth. Unlike his friend, he's able to actually continue further than 10 seconds, proving to everyone that he can actually handle a Crimson Fox. Everyone then starts to watch surprised, unsure how Herring is able to dominate, even though he looks like such a weak boy. Meanwhile, the mysterious man fast approaches the hideout as he swiftly cuts through the air. A few moments later, he makes it to the hideout, but the girls notice right in time, so they quickly head to their defensive positions to meet the intruder head-on. But it turns out the mysterious man is actually Levi from Attack on Titan, taking a break as he slices through the air like nothing. Without any hesitation, he slashes forward, taking on multiple Crimson Foxes by himself. Levi then jumps into the air, easily avoiding every attack, as his mission is to deal with someone else. He then changes his gaze towards Arya, off at the edge of a cliff. The story continues with Arya unfazed at the sight of Karim, since she's the strongest female warrior on the planet. But Karim only wants one thing, and it's her, the legendary reincarnation of the battle goddess. Meanwhile, a love explosion occurs as the girls buy time for the two Crimson Foxes to finish extracting some seeds, But Danby has started to hit her limit as Herring is able to withstand every rice cake attack that Danby is able to throw at him. Eventually, she transcends the realm of mere mortals as a crimson fox for the first time in a very long time is able to reach the climax of the mountain during a bike ride. Danby then mutters to him to wait, but Herring is confused since he's the one not moving, so he keeps his eyes closed as if he's scared of ghosts. But then it dawned on him why she stopped. It turns out that she's unable to deliver any more rice cake attacks as she needs time to recover from completion. However, since he's new at this, he tells her that he hasn't reached the climax of the mountain as he thinks playtime is now over. Suddenly, a peeping Levi appears, looking mad as heck, probably wishing that Mikasa was here so she can witness him being a weirdo again. Nevertheless, he whips out his sword in front of him. A second after, the window blows open, much to Herring's dismay as the poor boy still hasn't experienced the stage-like clarity after blowing the truckload. So Karim walks in unopposed, but he just stares at Herring and the boneheaded friend, standing there, as if he's the step bro ready to do some laundry. But then Neria comes to save the day, flying in like Mikasa on mobility gear, so she attempts to slice him down. However, Karim easily parries without even having to look behind him, showcasing his true masterful swordsmanship. So the two started to dance around while fighting, but the two crimson foxes trying to extract the seeds are unable to continue riding their bikes. But Arya has a big brain, so to buy some time for the crimson foxes, she starts insulting Karim. She continues by calling him a weeb, where she also tells him to stop being a simp for her, since he's not strong enough. But Karim is just that one friend who never gives up, no matter how many times he gets rejected, since he's a Chad with no care at all. So he whips out his sword again, pointing at her collar, ordering her to give it to him, since he wants only her, since no one else comes close to her power. Now to be clear, if the fox gives you their collar, it means you become the chosen one to destroy their rice cake anytime you want, so they confuse to make strong children. As Arya distracts Karim, Alita Battle Angel attempts to grab Danby by putting her cloak on, as they attempt to escape. But Danby refuses to leave as she's captivated by Herring's behemoth banana plantation, so she tries to hold on by grabbing onto Herring. Luckily for the Crimson Foxes, the blondes are able to swiftly leave, but so did the art style every couple frames. With time running out, Alita has no choice but to literally force her out of the banana plantation, so Danby begins to cry, looking a little like Red Riding Hood. Tears then began to stream down her face as she reveals to everyone that she didn't even get to extract the legendary seeds from the behemoth. As Danby gets taken away, Arya gets gobsmacked surprised as it's been a long time a random wolf was able to survive a rice cake siege. Even Karim's face starts to look like mine when someone steals my ace on purpose, as he too cannot fathom a supply member was able to withstand a crimson fox. It's then an introvert's nightmare as the entire gazes of the room shifts towards him, but Herring has no clue on what to do since he's still chained to the chair. So Arya looks at him intently. Maybe she's about to jump on him for a bike ride right in front of Karim to test the waters. But instead, the greatest warrior walks up to Herring, where she reveals her name is actually Ra, the current reincarnation of the goddess Arya. Meanwhile, Karim doesn't move as he stares at Ra, instead watching her every move perplexed. With the turntables turning, she removed her own collar and placed it on Herring, proclaiming to the entire world that Herring is her chosen banana plantation. As such, Levi looks like he's about to call upon the powers of the founding titan, since he's about to call the rumbling as her girl picks someone else. Karim then turns to Ra, unable to shout as his rage started to exude outside his body. With a faceless expression, she looks back at him, as if she's trying her hardest to stop herself from giggling since she's secretly a troll. But before Karim is able to do anything, she escapes away, but she flashes a cake that Karim will never ever get to experience now. Fast forward to the next morning, where we find Herring back at his place, unable to really get out of bed, as he has severe soreness from everything that has happened to him. He also reveals that he got interrogated by the elite special forces last night, where they couldn't believe that he didn't explode. Nevertheless, he keeps daydreaming about the Crimson Fox Danby, as he cannot forget the special experience the two shared together. But he tries to forget about her, as he knows he will never see her again, but at least he got to experience her rice cakes. Suddenly, his bedroom door swings wide open, as his dad barges in, looking like he's ready to beat him back to his senses. Instead, he proudly smiles, telling Herring that it's time to wake up since it's supper time already. Herring then discovers from his father that the entire country is in panic, due to what happened between him and Ra yesterday. A mysterious man then appeared inside their house as they tried to go to the kitchen, claiming that things won't simmer down anytime soon. The man then alerts them, telling them that he's here without any official authorization from the top brass, but he somehow knows everyone's name. Herring's father instantly recognizes him though, so he offers him some supper if he would like. But he declines, so he introduces himself to Herring, revealing that his name is Moo, like the cow, and is part of the kingdom's shadow ops group. Mu then tells Herring that today will be his last day as private of his support crew, since the shadow ops will take care of him from now on. Mu also urges him to quickly adapt, claiming that every agency in the world will be keeping a close eye on him for receiving Ara's collar. Herring then cries, knowing he can't play Roblox anymore as he'll be too busy getting trained behind the scenes. In the end, Mu reminds him that he has no choice, so Mu will be expecting him at sundown. Later on in the day, he gets a surprise punch to the face while he was just busy minding his own business. It turns out to be his friends and crew from the squad as they want to know more from what happened the night before, super eager to know more details about rice cake smashing. As they pestered him to spill the beans, the entire squad began to round up as Herring is about to tell the story of the first-hand account of rice cake sieges. Herring starts off by calling them all rookies, insulting them by claiming that they will never experience or imagine what he went through, as they are too weak. Regardless, he began telling the story, and as he continues, more people joined in the circle, intently listening as if he's the teacher of forbidden powers. The boys then started to get scared as they only heard rumors beforehand, never an actual first-hand experience. But then they got flustered as Herring moved to excruciating details of sweet honey tiak slurping and much more. Eventually, he motioned how the banana plantation instantly transformed into a rocket when Danby was helping him out. So in the end, everyone passed out from the story as they couldn't handle the sounds he was making when Herring was busy reenacting the swishing and slurping sounds. It took a whole night to finish the story, so everyone went to bed. Before Herring is able to go to sleep, he has one-on-one time with his dad as Herring is getting ready to grab some milk from the store to never come back again. But before he leaves, his dad imparts some secret special knowledge, like how first-class warriors are given a license for rice cake destroying anytime they want. But then his dad became a sussy baka, asking Herring if he was a loser, wanting to know more about his first encounter in extreme detail. His dad then gets surprised when Herring reveals the detail of how he knows Danby's name, as foxes are never allowed to reveal their identity, as the wolves can track them down. So he gets up, ordering Herring to never reveal that detail to anyone else, but he begins to giggle as if he's remembering someone from the past. His dad then reminds him of what he always says, claiming that Herring is destined to be king, but Herring has never believed his father. The next morning, Herring looks back feeling at peace with himself as he leaves everything behind, unable to really choose his destiny. As he lays down during the journey, he finally thought to himself how his father could know every single top-secret intelligence, even though he's just a normal man in a small town. He shrugs it off, though, as he reveals that he really hasn't asked his father about what he did before Herring was born, so it never really came to mind. Regardless, he arrives in front of the gates of the special headquarters, so he takes a deep breath before stepping forward. Someone then yells his name, telling him that he's 21 minutes early, but I can't tell if the person is a girl or a dude. What do you guys think? I'm going to assume he's a guy since he's part of the men-only nation. No matter, the boy's name is revealed to be Magi, so Magi takes him on a tour around the headquarters. They then take a moment to stop at a nearby training facility, so Magi opens the doors to the mysterious building. Upon entering, all he could hear are people grunting, but he gets confused even more when someone yells out to use their hips better. With his eyes finally adjusting to the room, he finally realized they were practicing specific positions for every member, on fake foxes. Now I have seen a lot of things, but man, this was such a weird scene, and it looks like Herring agrees with me as well. Magi then interrupts the leader in charge of the exam, asking if anyone is worth looking into, but he just lets him know everyone is still just bang average. Meanwhile, as Magi introduces Herring to the leader in charge, Herring notices that they are all practicing on dolls that his father made. Magi then reveals that Herring is the one that Ara chose, causing everyone in the room to stop everything they were doing to just glare at him. But Herring is not scared at the display of the entire group, probably because he knows he landed some nice vanilla cake to eat over and over. Afterwards, Magi brings him over to the most important area of the headquarters, as the one in charge wants to meet him personally. As he calls him over, Herring meets the fat old man in charge of everyone, making sure their banana plantations grow well to meet the standards of the foxes. He then gets up, asking why the hell would Ara pick him. The story continues with Mr. Baldy reluctantly taking a closer look at Herring, frustrated that the goddess reincarnation picks such a weakling. Rumpy Baldy is then forced to reveal a secret that only the special forces of the female-only and men-only nation know. Herring discovers that there's a mini-city called Prushil, where the chosen ones congregate to do rice cake smashing. It's the most luxurious place on the planet, as only the top warriors from both nations are ever allowed in, even if they are constantly at war. At Prushil, anything they want is given to them, as the sole purpose of the place is to make sure the boys destroy the rice cake, while the girls extract the seeds. The old man continues by explaining that if a man and woman ever steps foot into a room, they aren't allowed to leave until a day has passed. But to get in, he needs the golden ticket, which just happens to be a collar from a fox. As such, he whips out the collar of the strongest warrior on the planet, the one that Ra has given to the weak herring. Upon hearing the clarification, our boy instantly gets his banana plantation excited as he starts to lose focus by daydreaming about the legendary goddess reincarnation. Herring then zones out, finding himself a little bit scared since as of a few days ago he's never seen a girl and now he's tasked to conquer the strongest. The man in charge then leaves the room, reminding him that he has 1 month to prepare and that he needs to notify Ra of the date. He then reveals to Herring that there is one catch, and that is he needs to actually be accepted into the elite squad before he can notify her. Luckily, Herring is motivated as he wants Ra really bad since she probably has the best vanilla cake, due to always destroying every man on the battlefield. As the old man leaves the room, he yells that maybe there is hope for Herring, as Herring discovers that everyone somehow knows his father, a man that goes by the name of Mukbum. Meanwhile, at the Crimson Fox territory of Borderlands City, 2 very notable members of the Crimson Foxes are busy drinking Slurpees from each other. The blondie finds herself loving the taste of the rainbow, since for her, the same flavors happens to get stale eventually. On the other end is Martina, where we discover that the two have been trying to fuse themselves, so they become an Oreo cookie. Anyways, as the two cosplay some scissors, Tena asks the blondie about the news on Ra, wanting to know more about the man that she has finally chosen to eat the cake. So the blondie lets her know that it wasn't even a man, it was a puppy of a random supply group and not part of the special forces for the wolves. As such, the entire planet was thrown into chaos as the #1 warrior did not pick the second strongest, which happens to be Karim, the mega simp that always gets denied. Nevertheless, the blue-haired goddess finds herself wandering around the Fox Special headquarters, but she notices some commotion at the end of the hallway. She overhears Alita Battle Angel worriedly talking about Danby, as she's apparently been skipping every meal and refusing to drink anything. The girls think it's a form of love sickness as she never got to extract the seeds from Herring's behemoth when he got captured. Unfortunately for her, if she keeps up the antics, she'll get punished by the Queen of the Foxes, even though she got it bad enough as someone else Yuan Kerman. As we meet more of the Crimson Foxes, every single one starts to think that Era might be onto something as Herring might be more powerful than he seems. But as girls do, they leave to join an episode of Gossip Girls, as the girls pester Alita about information on the so-called behemoth. So she reenacted what happened when Herring's banana plantation transformed into a rocket, which Danby tried to explode it over and over. Even Alita was feeling flustered just from her telling the story, even though she was busy fighting off Levi most of the time. Nevertheless, the trio came to a conclusion as to why Era chose a puppy, claiming that she chose Herring just because of his tree trunk size. Alita then made a good point as she points out what Herring's thingy did to Danby, something they haven't really seen in a long time. Afterwards, the girls find the squad leader, so they try to gank her, asking where the hell she's been, but understandably, she's been interrogated all night. Suddenly, everyone's attention shifts towards the room of the blondie earlier, where we discover her name to be Biol as they hear some really weird and loud noises coming from the room. So the girls try to sneak in as their curiosities get the better of them, wanting to know more about what's causing Biol to be really loud. Much to their astonishment or disgust, you decide they realize what she's been up to, so they keep watching on exactly like you sussy Becca's watching our recaps. However, during the ordeal, Biol becomes a Chad as she whips out a Herring banana plantation lifelike replica, as the two talk about the rumors of Herring owning the size of a prince. Anyways, just like every single video, the girls are glued to the scene, not realizing that they are secretly loving every single moment. As such, more and more decide to crowd the door as they stared on perplexed, wondering if they should close the browser when their family walks in. But then the door burst open due to too many foxes watching the amazing show they have never seen before, so make sure to subscribe. Regardless, the girls ask if the rumors are true, wondering if Herring actually has a weapon of mass destruction hidden inside his banana plantation. Although it's top secret information, Biol decides to let it rip, just like my farts, leaking to everyone that his size is indeed of a prince. At that very moment, every Crimson Fox became mesmerized without even seeing it themselves, so they began charging towards the replica, wanting more. Meanwhile, Herring feels a sudden chill on his spine, as his ultra instinct is probably kicking in, somehow knowing that dozens of girls are clamoring for him without them even seeing his face. The next day at the Wolves' headquarters, every single official becomes shocked as they inspect Herring for his otherworldly features in front of everyone. Everyone is in utter disbelief, even the old grumpy Baldy is left speechless, as they witness Herring's banana plantation with their very own eyes. Eventually, the top officials agree that our boy literally is a prince, due to the behemoth of sword that he is carrying. Now imagine being Herring right now, since I'm surprised he's able to get the banana tree growing in front of only dudes. Nonetheless, it's revealed that Herring's ultimate ability places him rank 1 middle class. With the insane revelation, every single leader almost chokes on their own spit, unable to fathom how a puppy is basically a hidden titan. So with the onset of the new information, every single squad commanders began to try and recruit him. In mere seconds, everyone in the ultra-top secret room began fighting one another as they all want Herring to join their elite team. But just like with the random drops in quality, Herring is left unamused as he didn't expect anything to unfold exactly like this. But Mooman smartly interjects, reminding every commander in the room that it's Ra, the legendary 1000 steps, that has targeted Herring for her vanilla cake to get destroyed. So everyone began to simmer down as they all got brought back to their senses, remembering how intricate the situation is with Ra involved. As such, Mr. Baldy stands up, claiming that although it is quite surprising, the council still needs to cover one of the most important information. That is, to be specific, his basic power level. With his unknown power level, the entire council erupts as every single one volunteered to observe the following power level test, wanting to know more about this prince. As the day continued to drag on and on for Herring, he finally had time for a small break. However, it just coincided with Sussy Becca Levi appearing at the compound, still looked mad as hell. So he finds Herring and turns his back on him, where he murmurs to Herring how much he wished he could destroy his life right now. But instead, he points his sword at him, telling him that he'll get eaten by red foxes anyways, so he asks if he's ever swung a sword before. Kareem then continues by ordering Herring to go ahead and show him what he's truly capable of doing. So like a true Sigma male, he decides to use the fake training sword, causing Kareem to be instantly frustrated. As Kareem is unable to control his anger, the top brass looks on from afar, laughing at how a random boy could make the legendary warrior lose his cool. Even members of the top Garimbi force began to look on, claiming how they have never seen their captain get so heated up before, especially in front of such a weakling. So the elite Garimbi team started to chuckle, wondering if Kareem might actually slice and dash the boy in front of everyone. But Kareem just stands there, face-palming, as even the old man is getting excited at seeing Kareem get all up in his emotions, as the simp is still unable to believe he lost a Ra to the weak pup. So Moo, like a true gentleman, whips out some caramel popcorn for everyone as the show is about to go on. Fast forward to the Black Castle, where the Wolves King resides in isolation from the continent. The Kurta King of all men is named Buxibarum, where he sits on his throne, with captured foxes as mercy. He fiercely orders the fox under him to make sure she doesn't waste any of the honey that the king is giving her, since Bro is a menace to society. Nonetheless, he can't get enough from the foxes he has captured, so he glistens at the thought of Ra's vanilla cake, since it's the bomb as every man wants it. Anyways, Bro is revealed to be like a villain from Vinland Saga, as he literally has dozens of captured foxes that he claps with his hand every day. After attacking every single rice cake in front of him daily, he finds a new one hiding in a corner, asking the fox what she's afraid of. So he reaches out to her with his hand, and the rest was history for her, as it is now her daily routine. He then sieges the rice cake with no holding back, as if they are just a sleeve to him. After the king leaves the room of destruction, a random man asks what level of satisfaction would he rate his experience today. But the king is agitated at the question, as every experiment brought to him to elevate his experience has always been bang average, with no noteworthy standouts. So the king asks the man if he could bring better products, but he reveals to the king that he can't, as they need to capture top-class products. As such, the king orders the man to hurry up and get him a working top-class elixir to enhance his rice cake experience, as he wants to test it out on a Ra. We then discover that the king is secretly attempting to mass-produce potions that will entice every fox to want their rice cake destroyed, regardless of any color or procedure. Meanwhile, back at the special headquarters, every man is glued to duel between Herring and Kareem. Even Mr. Baldy spits out his popcorn, as everyone witnesses Herring almost slice Kareem with a plastic training sword. Even more so now, Kareem is absolutely full of rage as he almost gets embarrassed in front of his leaders and his own elite squad. As such, Kareem finally takes him seriously, so activates his battle stance as he swipes away Herring into the distance. Shortly after, he swiftly counterattacks without warning, disappearing with blistering speed as if he was just lightning. Surprisingly, Herring is actually able to block the attack last second, surprising Kareem himself, as not a lot of people on the planet can react that quick. With the show off to an insane pilot episode, everyone began cheering as they watched Kareem not hold back a single inch. So Levi continued his relentless attacks, where he is able to get in position for his final blow to finish off Herring. But somehow, Herring is able to dodge with absolute pinpoint accuracy, confirming to everyone that he is indeed the real deal. Meanwhile, Mu started collecting his winnings as he knew what Herring was capable of, so the old man turns to Mu, telling him how he can't believe Bum has been hiding his son the entire time. Mu retorts that he totally expected Bum to raise his son the proper way, but he too can't believe Herring has surpassed his own expectations. With Herring still standing, Mu claims he needs to forcefully stop the power level duel test as Karim might want to actually end him. So before Karim has a chance to do so, Mu steps in, proclaiming that the test is now over. Simultaneously, he mentions how the world has been so boring lately, subtly telling him not to accidentally destroy the new mushroom and fungi that can change the world. Afterwards, Mu pipes up, notifying Herring that his rank is now erased as the Shadow Corps now acknowledges powers for passing the special tests. With full synchronization mode activated, the entire council agreed at the same time, welcoming him into the Garimbi elite squad. From now on, he's part of the special forces, but Herring still has no idea why everyone seemingly knows his father.